first gear, baby. You ready? Ready. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all tuning the channel today. Got this killer Foxbody Mustang in the shop, getting a 3.5-inch stainless exhaust underneath with some magnaflow mufflers. It's got a pretty gnarly small block Ford in it with an automatic, I believe, turbo 400. Got an 8.8 under it still. It's been built, it's got a cage in it, and it's just an awesome car. And honestly, one of my favorite parts about it, it's got T-tops. I love T-tops. But I'm gonna flip the camera around, show y'all what we got going on. Molly, you like Foxbodies? Do you? Do you? All right, there it is. Killer paint job on this thing. Love the color and the ghost flames. A sweet set of wheels on it. But it is a hatch. It's a GT car. Sweet. Give you the full walk around. By the way, tagged, insured, driven on the street. It's a sweet car. Edgar, the gentleman that owns it, his son and I went to high school together, and I remember when he had his Foxbody, he had about a 90 model, I would guess, notchback car with a Pro Charge small block Ford in it, and that was the fastest car at our high school. And anyway, let's get this thing up in the air, show you what we got to do. Alrighty, now that we've got it up in the air, one thing I am gonna do, so this thing rolled up and the straps are getting on the oil pan, so we're gonna take this off, clean it all up, roll this down at about a 45, and just, you know, put a little 1-inch TIG weld on each side of it just to keep it in place. The car's not real heavy, so that should be sufficient on there. And then he's got poly motor mounts, and we're gonna plate these, just build them, mark them, and then when he gets the car back, he's gonna take these awesome Stainless Works headers off. We're gonna split flanges on them. When he does that, he's gonna pull the motor mounts, and I'm gonna plate them so they'll act like solid mounts. He does have the motor binded down with a binder here, but it's not enough. So there you go. Killer new front suspension. He's totally rebuilt the car this past year. Like I said, these are nice headers. Look how big. I'm pretty sure these are 2-inch primaries. These collector extensions I built just to tie it into his factory exhaust so that he could crank the car and get a bass tune in it, make the car where he could move it. And so I've got, this side's gonna be all right. We're gonna use it the way it is. It's got, I don't know, I might end up cutting this here and putting a pie in it here. Definitely gonna cut this one and put a pie in it here to kick it back up because it's a little bit lower than the other one. And we wanna try to tuck the exhaust up in the car. And the plan is to come in and follow the drive shaft up close to the floor to get some more ground clearance. And these are magnaflows. This is all 3-inch under the car, and this is coming off. And we're gonna go back with brand new stainless magnaflows, 3.5-inch. And then we've got our Stainless Brothers 3.5-inch mandrel bends, straight pipe, pie cuts, stainless hanger material. That's what we're gonna do, and we're just gonna stick it out about in the same location. Shouldn't be too complicated. Should look real good when we're done. Okay, we got the collectors pulled off the Mustang. These adapter pieces I had made for the V-bands on the end of the collectors. Cut them apart, so we had stepped it down from 3.5 to 3 inch. So I'm gonna save those in case we ever need them for something. This is the exhaust off the Mustang. Stainless magnaflows, but you know, just traditional steel, and we're gonna do full stainless. And so I pulled these back off, and I'm gonna add a pie to both of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come about 1 inch off of my weld on both of these and cut them. And I'm pretty sure I can chuck these up in the bandsaw, which is gonna be fantastic, because cutting all this apart with a cutting wheel and cleaning it up, you know, it's kind of not as good, but it'll serve its purpose. But looking at it when they were still in the car, I didn't like, they were both kind of angled down just slightly. And they were, you know, the gap was growing where they come out here, that, you know, they were angled pretty good. So I want to go ahead and kick them up, you know, just off that weld, which will be right in here somewhere, and get them both started on the right track. Okay, y'all, Merry Christmas. Hope it was fantastic. I'm out here working on Edgar's Mustang today. Got the collectors and all tore apart off of it. I had everything tore apart the way I wanted it the other day prior to Christmas, except these 2 cuts right here. So just made these 2 cuts. I threw the collectors up in the saw. Got this nice big used Ellis bandsaw. Love this thing. Saves me on cutting wheels and everything else. And so what I've done, and I've got to clean the inside of these real good. That's why I got my little end motor with the flapper on it. I'm gonna clean these up as well, because it's been run, obviously it's been fat. So what we're gonna do is get all the soot out of it, clean the edges up, make it pretty. And I'm gonna take, and in my head, it's just gonna take one. I'm gonna add a pie to each one of these. I'm gonna throw the collectors back on the car, throw the bolts back in them so I know they're where they're supposed to be. And then I'm gonna position these where I can get them on there. I'll have these cleaned up, already tacked to this piece here. And then I'll take the whole piece over to the car, get them oriented the way I want, and tack them on the car. And that way we get our flanges and everything pointed up level, hopefully, because they were kind of pointing down. And I was only going to do the passenger side. That's what we had discussed. And after looking at it, I want to do the driver's side as well. And then after that, should be fairly straightforward. Cutting, trimming, adding pieces, parts. Get some exhaust run on this car. It's going to come off, come in, follow the drive shaft kind of up in the tunnel best we can. Get some more ground clearance. You know, the headers are going to be significantly lower than everything, but the idea is to keep the rest of the exhaust, because when you go over something, even though this car is not super low and it's a short wheelbase, it could still hang, so we don't want that. We're going to tuck it in the car best we can without baking the floorboards, and then bring it back here, a couple of mufflers, turn down right in front of the axle. Should be pretty straightforward, pretty sweet. So we're going to get started. Hope y'all are looking forward to it. I do enjoy this kind of stuff, and not being super complicated, you know, like a big turbo kit or something just being under the car should be not too bad. It's a little chilly today. Got the big door closed in the shop. Got Johnny Cash in here, bed's just sitting on it. Got a pretty cool rocket stove to put together. Got that for Christmas, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, y'all, it is actually 2 days after Christmas. Today is the 27th. I decided to be lazy and take yesterday off. And, you know, I do love the holidays and spending time with family and all that, but we spent almost the whole day on Christmas Day running around. So I decided to take yesterday off. Hannah closed the store early, come home. We spent some time together. That was nice. So anyway, let's get started. Check it out. Added my light to my bandsaw finally. I've only had this, I got a pair of these jokers I ordered off Amazon. I was going to add one to the drill press or something, but I bought them because I wanted a light on this saw, and it only took me like 1.5 years to finally do it. But threw that on there with some zip ties. It's pretty quick and easy, and I can turn it off separately but it's on when the saw is running. So we're cutting a piece off of here to stub into the muffler. I'll show y'all what I've been working on. I've had a couple of visitors today, so I hung out and talked to some buddies I hadn't seen in a while. Took a break from the car for a few minutes, but I'm working on the passenger side at the moment. You can see I got it kicked up, trying to get it closer to the car because we had talked about adding a pie on this one. Did the same thing here. And then this one already had a pie, so we'll make some adjustments once we start on that. But 45, pie 45, pieces straight, plenty of drive shaft clearance. And then I'm gonna probably 2 pies here and a stub, and that'll move the muffler over and give us our clearance there that we need, and then we'll dump it off the back. But I'm cutting the stub right now just to kind of test fit. But obviously that's too close, so we'll get some more room in a minute. All right, I got my little stub piece taped onto my pies. I got 2 pies there. Plenty of clearance on the drive shaft. And we're trying to get ground clearance as well. It's a little difficult to do in film. And it's gonna dump over here, which you can see how sooty that was. That's where it was before. And I'm gonna turn it down. And I think I might actually use the 45s that Edgar brought me instead of the 90. I was just gonna cut a 90 in half that I had bought, but I think I'm gonna use the 45s because they have legs on them, and that'll get us a little farther below the shock maybe. But I've got to keep it tucked up close to the floor because I don't want ground clearance issues. But these mufflers are pretty big. You see I got fuel line there. I might take one of the pies off and cut the muffler, you know, turn it back this way just a hair. But you can see we got, I know y'all can't with that light, we got clearance. So we'll see. All right, these are the stainless pieces. I cut them to mirror each other, and then I will cut them once I figure out how long I want them. That's gonna be our dumps off the back of the mufflers. But to fix the mufflers where they need to be, so I've got one kind of in place, I need to build the hangers. So Edgar brought me these, they're brand new, but they're carbon steel, and I don't want to weld carbon steel to all this stainless and it rusts. So I bent this straight on these other 2. The rubber pieces are mounted to the car, the new ones. I bought this stainless round rod, and I'm fitting to bend it and make new hangers. There you go, I'm just heating it up, make it a little easier to bend. Go get a cheater pipe. All right, y'all. we're gonna check it out. So everything's tacked, nothing's permanent. Well, I take that back. These dumps are not tacked. I want to see how far down he wants them or how he wants them cut, and then we'll worry about those, cut them the same. So let's go check it out. All right, so I think it's going to be killer. That needs to turn just a little bit. So what I was trying to do is kind of get everything coming out the same area. So obviously this is too long. It's below the axle. It's close to the shock mounts. I'm figuring we'll cut it up here somewhere. But I want to let him see it. I don't know if he wants it cut flat, you know, straight at the ground. I don't know how he wants it. But here is what we have come up with. Full 3.5 inch, 2 V-bands, 2 hangers. So I have a pie there. I ended up with 3 pies there, which I did not want, but that's the way it worked out. Comes back. The only thing I got left, I got some straight tubing, and I got that 90 that I was going to cut for tips. But I like these 45s he's got. He ordered those from Summit. Everything else other than the magnaflow mufflers is Stainless Brothers. And I love their stuff. Super clean, super nice. You can see all the mandrels. We got a pie here, two 45s. And this joint's not going to be fun just because it's a little thinner. That's one that was previously welded. I had to cut off where we had the reducer to 3 inch. Added a pie on this side. But, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with it. You know, it's not perfectly mirror imaged. We have a little more clearance on the driver's side than the passenger side, but we also have more floor pan clearance on the driver's side because I guess because of the offset of the 8.8, you know, where the pinion gear is. That would be my assumption. We had a lot more clearance here. I didn't use it all because why? You know, I tried to keep the exhaust pretty much at the same level. I also tried to start the mufflers about the same place. And it's like, you know, it's not going to be perfectly equal length, but it looks good. I like it. So I'm going to get Edgar to come by tomorrow, hopefully, because I don't want to get any farther with it if there's anything he wants to change. And we're at full drop, so the rear end's hanging as low as it's going to get. It's not going to separate anymore. We're out of anti-roll bar, and so we should be sufficient here. This gap should actually grow, so should this one as the drive shaft goes up. So I don't think we're going to have any issues, but I want him to look at it and make sure he's happy with it. I really hope he's happy with it because I was trying to hug the floor pan but not get it, you know, close enough that it would vibrate or anything. And then from the outside of the car, you know, tuck it up as much as possible. Obviously, you're going to see the collectors, but that's part of it, you know. So the lowest part truly is, I believe, right about here in the collector, which has nothing to do with the exhaust. That's just the way the headers are built. 2-inch primaries, that makes for a big set of headers to clear. You can see this side as well from the rocker panel. It tucks up nicely. So I'm gonna get some pictures and then let him come by and check it out. Let me get this off of here so y'all can see better. Looks pretty good to me. So that being said, that's probably where the fab part of this video is gonna stop. This is all gonna be one video. But I'll do a bunch of welding on it. I'll probably pull the mufflers back off the pipes, weld the front section up to the mufflers, and then, you know, fit the tips and the mufflers again, tack that, and make those welds. I'm also tempted to cut about half of this off, which will allow me to suck this farther forward. But, you know, like I said, I don't know how he's going to want the exhaust. I was just trying to kind of get it as the same as possible. This muffler is a little lower in the back, but you know what? It's going to be okay. We got plenty of clearance now, so I like it. I think it looks good. So let's get to welding. I really need to buy a 3D printer and make the fixtures, cutting these fittings, be a lot easier. But this works. So Edgar came by, checked everything out. The only real changes we made were back here. I did pull everything down and bend these so that they have some angle on them now. They won't come off. Tacked them a little better, put the exhaust back on the car, and I cut this down to where it's just 1.5 inches from the edge of the muffler to try to get it away from here. You can see where it was cooking the shocks before, and this is that 90 I split in half. And I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be turned down as much as he wants. So I took some pictures and we shall see. But it's definitely clearing, you know, the shock better than it was. But it is turned down and the heat is going to go in that direction. But other than that, everything's pretty well buttoned up. I added lots of tacks to every joint. So when I take it down, hopefully nothing will move. I need to add one in there. Maybe some on top. But what I'll do when I lay it on the table is I'll tack at least quarter every joint so that hopefully it doesn't draw too bad. And I did raise this muffler up some, which it doesn't really look like it from here. It's still a little lower than the other one. But I raised it up, I don't know, about 1/2 inch on the hanger, maybe a 1/4 inch. And it could be too, because they're slip-on collectors and there's that V-band up there, which it is a male-female V-band, which seal better. It could just be it needs a little tweaking, but it's definitely closer to the same height to me. You know, and everything's relative to how you're looking at it, so. But you can still read magnaflow on both of them from the outside of the car. We set the car on the ground, and, you know, it fits pretty good. I don't know, not a lot of space, but I think it's gonna be pretty sweet, sound real good. Should be gnarly. I can't wait to hear this thing. I haven't heard this motor yet. I love it when a plan comes together. So shot him some pictures of it. He said, let's roll them and point them between the gap there and away from the shocks. And I like it. It'll also blow less dust up on the car. But like if you're looking straight in the pipe, the way the fitting's cut, it's coming down and out right here in the gap. And it looks really cool from underneath. Excuse me. But I like it. Man, this is gonna be so cool. I can't wait. Hopefully, and I don't know how his, you know, he was working on his tune-up before. I don't know how his base tune is or if we'll get to fire it. But if not, y'all, once he gets the car done, I will definitely get some footage of it because this thing is going to be so sweet. Show you my setup for today. So I brought my chuck out. I need to clean this thing up and oil it. The moisture down here, the humidity in the south is pretty tough if you don't keep stuff old and it's starting to surface rust. But I'll clean it up when I'm done. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chuck both these collectors up in here, throw a bunch of extra tacks on this after I wipe it down with acetone, get my oily fingerprints off of it. But got my purge stuck in there. That's just a gas lens. It's almost the same size and threads as an O2 sensor, so I just kind of stick it in there and snug it where it kind of grabs and try to keep an eye on it, keep it from coming off. It's not a perfect system, but it works. I got the top taped with a couple of holes poked in it and the bottom with no holes. That way, hopefully it'll fill up, you know, and purge this really well. I'm finna cut the purge on. I'll throw y'all on the time lapse and, you know, get started, get this one welded out, see what it looks like. And then I've got the exhaust off the car already. We'll throw this one up there, do the same thing, and then I got to figure out how I'm gonna do these. I really should probably pull the mufflers back off, reinstall everything, tack that again, and then weld the mufflers and the tips, you know, spin this, weld these. I haven't really decided how I'm gonna do it. I could lay that down and put the other end in like a pipe stand or something. I don't know, we'll see how it works out, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So I'm gonna grab the tripod, throw y'all on the time lapse, get to welding. too shabby. I need to slow down some more. Let the gas cover a little better. I bumped my post flow up, but I think I'm moving too far, you know, for the gas to cover it. But there's one. Chuck the other one up there now. Not too shabby. Need to slow down just a little more. You can see there, that one's pretty gold. That one's a little dark. I ran a little far on that one and probably didn't let the post flow long enough. Oh, a little better. Still a little dark, a little inconsistent, but collectors are on the car. So I've been studying on this, and what I've decided to do, I got them marked. Passenger, driver, driver, passenger. So I punched these, just little center punches, so I'll know about where they go. And I'm gonna cut the welds just a little bit with a cutting wheel, try to knock them loose, and then I'm gonna split them. I'm gonna weld the muffler section with the pies here, leave the long pipe, same thing here, leave the pie with the muffler and that piece. That, and weld them separately, weld those ends, weld these ends, then attempt to line them back up and tack them, and then go test fit them in the car, and then bring them back and make the last two welds. That looks to be probably the most painless way of doing it. I was gonna try to stand it up because I like standing it up in my fixture position, or whatever you want to call it, but there's just too much weight on this end, and I don't want it to draw, which is what it's going to do, a weight on it. I got them busted apart. I tried to very carefully, if it'll focus, I tried to not cut all the way through. It's going to be a little thin when I weld there. I'll just add a little more filler metal, and then just kind of tapped it with the hammer, and they just kind of broke loose. I should have studied this a little more originally before, because I went through while it was in the car and like triple tacked everything that I could get to except the top side. So had I thought a little more about that, then it wouldn't have been, you know, I would have figured, hey, I'm gonna split it here. All right, just been rolling it over there. So I got my purge, aluminum milled purge plug deals in there. That's what I was using. So what I did was I welded this in first on this one, and then I swapped mufflers and welded this one. Whoa, look at that. That ain't half bad, is it? It's all right for a blind man. But now I'm gonna flip them around. Now I've let this one cool. I'm gonna flip it around and start this end, but those plugs do fit in there kind of snug, and I like to tap them in with a rubber mallet, but I don't trust them, so I like to be able to tape them, and obviously I don't want to melt tape to the stainless. That one's a little warm. I'm gonna get this end welded, do the same thing on the other one, and we'll work on the long pieces. Final test fit. There's only 2 welds left. All this is welded. What's left is where we join the muffler with the straight piece. Of course, the pies and all that's already welded. The tips are already welded on. Looks good. I'm satisfied with it. I just tacked those best I could back where they were originally, lined them up where I had cut it and everything else. And I'm happy with it. So what I'm gonna do is take them back off, tack these really well, and then roll them dudes out. We'll be done with that part. All right, y'all. Exhaust is wrapped up, bolted up tight. All the welds are done now. Connection weld. That one's actually still warm there. Ugh. I like it though. Let's zoom out. There we go. I think it looks good. Got more clearance here than he had. The lowest spot on both of them is going to be where the slip fit connector goes on for the collector. And it looks pretty good. It's not exactly equal length, but it's really pretty close. But there's almost no back pressure on this car, being that it's 3.5 inch with just straight through mufflers anyway. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, there you go. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. I know that's, you know, fab work stuff, lots of time lapse welding and all that jazz. Hopefully it didn't bore you too much. This is a killer Foxbody. I really like this car a lot. I love the fact it's got T-tops. And it is a street car, although I'm sure some of y'all saw the parachute on the back of it. And it is Ford powered. It is a small block Ford with a little bit of nitrous on it. Pretty sweet. And I'll get with Edgar. I don't know if he intends to crank it with the new exhaust on it while he's here, or take it back to the house and do a few more things first, because we might just, you know, winch it up in the trailer. I'm not really sure what the plan is, so we'll get with him. But if he fires it up here, y'all will get to see that on video. If not, I'll go by his shop sometime and get some footage of it, at least idling, just because I just want to hear it. You know what I mean? It's gonna have such a good sound. But I appreciate y'all tuning into the video. I hope y'all have a good one. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. God bless you.